Okay, here we go. Hey, welcome to Renegade Marketing, you guys. It is the 21st of January, 2022. This is essentially week 2 of the calendar for us with Renegade Marketing. And it is an open forum. It is open to any loan officer who works wherever. And as we progress, the stream that we're running, and we had like 75 people take a look at this class last week. I suspect that will continue to grow over the remainder of the calendar year. My hope is that at some point in time, we'll be in the multiple hundreds that are watching this, so that they can indeed improve their business as well. And hopefully some of them will entertain the idea of joining us here at PWM. Ultimately, my goal here is to provide for you guys a level above baseline marketing, okay? As you're building your business and as you are, stepping into the lending industry, sometimes we get ahead of ourselves just because of the nature of what we need to be doing. Obviously, all of us need to be closing loans in order to get paid, and suddenly the focus goes to doing those kinds of things rather than establishing that foundation, having systems in place so that when the business comes in, that you're better able to handle that business and really kind of, able to kind of move it forward. So my hope for you is that you're able to take these classes and use them as building blocks. And that's the way that I have them designed to be on the net, step 1, step 2, step 3. So last week we talked about essentially building a plan, right? And having an idea of what it is that you wanted to earn in the calendar year, how you were going to go about doing that, with the number of activities that you were going to be doing, the number of meetings that you were going to hold, the standard ratios for nationwide loan officers and how they perform. So as a minor review, it's a simple thing. You establish whatever dollar amount it is that you want to earn. Know whatever your average commission is in your area. You can figure that out if you've never closed a loan by answering this simple question. What's the average price point in my area for homes? Average in my zip code, in my area code, whatever way you want to do it. And then times that number by 80%, and you can use that as an average loan amount, which is, in my opinion, it might be a little high, but it's at least a starting point for you, and so that you can understand what kind of activities you need to plan. And at that point in time, then you're able to essentially back into, okay, so if that's my average loan amount, how many loans do I need to do in order to achieve that goal of that level of income? Okay, so from that point of view, let's just say it's 30, okay, that your answer is 30. So 30 loans, that's 3 loans a month essentially, or whatever, because I only want to work 10 months, not 12. I want to take, a couple weeks or 8 weeks off, whatever your answers are. Okay. And it's all designed around you and what you want to do. And then whatever that dollar amount is into that goal for income, you need to essentially affect a fallout percentage. And nationwide fallout percentage roughly falls into around 25%. So in other words, for every 4 loans I take, only 3 will close. So every 4 applications, only 3 will close. So that number that you need to hit, you need to increase that in terms of numbers of applications I take. It's not a 1-to-1 ratio. It's a 75% pull-through percentage, okay? So with that in mind, you know that you need to take more applications, probably 4 applications, in order to close 3 loans a month. And therefore, how do I get to my 4 applications? Well, for 4 applications, the nationwide percentage is around 25% of the leads that we receive turn into applications of ours. So I need to quadruple that number. I need to take 16 apps or meet 16 leads to take 4 apps to close 3 loans. You follow me? It's not complicated math. It's just numbers, right? So now the question becomes, how do I meet enough referral sources to achieve 16 leads a month? That's 4 leads a week. All right. So how many realtors, how many CPAs, how many CFPs, how many Google ads, how many Facebook funnels do I need to create? Whatever it is, to create the number of leads necessary in order to create the outcome you're looking to achieve. I'm going to throw a number out there, and this is completely off the top of my head. I will virtually guarantee you somewhere in the neighborhood of around 90% of all loan officers don't even understand that formula. And the benefit of being with this group and just having a simple understanding of that formula is it puts in your mind now, it's not simply about, I got to go get a lead from a realtor so I could take an application so they can buy a house. It doesn't work that way. I mean, it does in a very naive sense as to the activities you need to be working on, but it doesn't work in terms of hitting your goal. And what'll end up happening is, oh, I took my 3 applications, fantastic, but something happened. I only closed 2 loans. Dang. Well, maybe that one will roll over into next month and I can make it work out. And eventually that loan just falls out. You know, the price points go too high. We've had a lot of appreciation in the last couple of years. Inflation is there. They may lose a job, or their job, you know, lays them off, puts them at part-time. Something else happens, any number of different things. So what I want you to understand is we have to account for these things. We're in business. This isn't just a lot of fun that we're having, although it is kind of fun. But we are in business to earn a living here, and we're trying to create something that is reliable, something upon which that you can truly know, hey, how many loans am I going to close in June? And have an answer to that, because your marketing plan is working in a particular way and your activities are going down a particular path, and they predict how many loans you're going to end up with in June, July, August, whenever. So I can effectively pick up the phone and say, okay, Bob, time for us to do our 3 months check-in. Hey, Bob, how many loans do you got in the pipe right now? All right, so how many do you anticipate coming in May? And Bob can say with confidence, you know, given the way that my marketing is going and with the analysis that I've done on my pull-through percentage specifically, not the national averages, but now I've been able to analyze my own performance. I can tell you that, you know, 85% of the applications I take actually close, not 75, which is great. You know, I'm 10% better than the average. And the most elite loan officers in the country, by the way, you guys, are somewhere hovering around 93%. So the most elite still have fallout. I want you guys to recognize that. Not everybody, nobody for that matter, really bats 1,000. So just understand that there's always going to be circumstantial situations that create fallout. Be prepared for them. And that's what this is really about. Okay. All right. I'm going to mute out the fellas that haven't muted yet, just for the purpose of keeping everything down. You're always welcome to unmute yourself if you need. There we go. All right. So what I want to show you guys are a couple of different things. And the idea here is you've got an idea of what you want to earn. Now, how do I go about executing such a thing, right? And what activities are really going to be worth my while and what's going to work? So I'm going to share my screen with you guys and kind of show you what I have in terms of essentially resources that are available to you. I don't know if you've seen these or not, but I'm going to show them to you no matter what. So give me a second here and I will open these puppies up. Here we go. Share screen. Okay, so this is very, very, very basic. All right, and it's just a calendar, nothing special, right? It's pretty obvious what we're talking about doing here. The general concept.
Screen, Ed.
Sorry,
I'm not seeing your screen. Are y'all seeing the screen?
I'm seeing it, no problem.
Okay, never mind. Operator headspace error. I'll get it fixed.
Yes, I see it too.
Yeah, we can see that.
all right. Okay, David, maybe that's something with your feed. I don't know. But I can see you loud in living color. So check it out. See if there's something else that was technologically messing around with you. Okay. Okay. So the calendar here. All right. By the way, this is available in the Dropbox. I'll put the link to the Dropbox in the back or in the chat here at some point in time during the course of this thing. And so really what this is enveloping is just a concept of time blocking. And what I'm going to suggest to you first is we're not going to put the activities that we have in terms of work-related activities on our calendar. I want you to schedule your time off, your time with your family, your time that you're going to spend doing carpool for the kids, the soccer games, the baseball game, all of that stuff. I want that on your calendar first before you put your marketing activities on there. Date night, whatever, Bible study, you name it. All those things that you would do in your life, the personal life stuff goes on your calendar first. And when you're doing a calendar like this, I don't know if you share a calendar with anybody or if anybody else can go in and see your calendar. You can always privatize any kind of events. I'm going to show you an example of exactly that. So that if you are sharing a calendar and someone were to, like, for instance, you were using a application that will allow someone to book time on your calendar, that might share space with your calendar, and you don't want them to necessarily see that you're going to Pilates class on Saturday, whatever. Go for that. You can privatize that meeting, and therefore it's just only you that can see that. Even if you were sharing your calendar with a family member or somebody else, it's just a block that would be in a particular color or whatever. So once you get that done, now here's an example, and I'll show you my specific example here in a little bit of time. During football season, I'm a football junkie. My ex-wife was a football widow. Okay. And I would go to watch my team because I was exiled from my house because I was too loud to watch my team with my children play. Okay. I'd scare the family. So I blocked that time on Sundays to go someplace else to watch the game. All right. But that was my time and time that I would have to myself and be able to either, enjoy myself or come home with tears in my eyes. Either way. But that's just an example. You can block that time on your calendar as a random example. I'm going to show you other examples when I get to where my calendar is right now, since the season is now in the playoffs, and it is what it is. All right. Look at you ladies. You guys are chiming in. Sandy and Alice both. You guys have kicked your husbands out of the house. Shame on you. You should create a man cave for him someplace. And basketball too. Good Lord. Do you see your husband? Goodness. Shoot. Next thing you know, you'll be a hockey season. That's like 8-9 months. All right. So anyway, I digress. So what I want you to imagine now is this calendar is filled with those other activities. And these things here are just examples. I'm going to scroll up so you guys can see here. Just an example of setting your schedule. What I want you to be able to do is just pick some activities. And these are activities that are going to put you in front of the general public and obviously whomever it is that you're trying to target here. Okay. So their examples are 3 hours on one day a month to host a class. Okay. And does that mean the class is 3 hours long? Not necessarily. But I book essentially time in advance of Renegade to make sure that I'm prepared for Renegade. So I do about an hour's block of time where no one can book my time. And it's just me to get ready, do my thing, and have my resources at the ready. Okay. And so that's an hour before we're doing this. Exactly. James is saying it's time blocking. Exactly that, James. Nothing special about it. It's a very simple concept. I want you to understand something, however. By doing these time blocks, what most folks fail to do when I see people that do time block is they don't respect the block. In other words, they just treat the block as though it's just a reminder for them to be doing something that they were supposed to do. And if they do it or they do it, and they don't, whatever. I want you to consider these things appointments with yourself. And my first coach in the industry, this was in 2004, when loan amounts were not quite to the degree that they are now. Okay. But he would encapsulate the idea like this. It says, imagine that you're taking a $1 million loan application. What would you do to make sure that you were there to be on time, at your best, looking your best, prepared, etc.? How vigilant would you be around that time? How protective would you be of that time? Would you let something get in the way of you taking that $1 million loan application? Something as trivial as fill in the blank, whatever it might be? No, you probably wouldn't, because the commission that would, come from that loan at this point in time with our current pay plan is around $14,000. You probably don't want to walk away from something like that, right? And that's on the lowest tier of our comp plan. And especially if you've already capped, now you're talking about $18,250 for taking one app. Maybe it's a good idea that you stick around and you give that time some respect, right? These activities that they're talking about, hosting a class, hosting a happy hour, or having a time block for when you do your face-to-face appointments. These are suggestions and examples of how you can do exactly that. There are specific activities that the highest producing loan officers participate in which they participate. Doggone it. I'm always correcting myself with that. So anyway, but thankfully I'm still doing it. I'm still learning, Ma. Anyway, these activities are important because they generate revenue or they generate PR. They might be things that help raise your reputation. They may be things that raise your visibility in the realtor community. Any number of these different things, but these are either yellow light or green light activities. And I use the analogy of around a street light because that was the way my second coach in the industry actually taught me how to do this stuff. And he just said, imagine a street light. You got red light, yellow light, and green light. Green light are money-making activities. Yellow light are things that are preparing you to make money. Red light makes you no money whatsoever. Red light activity example is email. Yellow light activity would be taking a class to learn about a product. For instance, like Paolo was suggesting, maybe you're learning about DSCR, or you're learning about bank statement loans, or you're talking to your account executives, learning what they actually offer at their bank, so be it. And now green light activities, taking applications, following up with people that you've made outbound reach calls to hopefully book appointments. These are things that are revenue generating or immediately accessible to generating revenue. All right, you get my meaning? That's what I'm talking about. James, I'm reading your chat now, man. I got you, my friend. All right, so these are examples, and then you see them, how they put them into their calendar. I want to do a class on this particular day. It's the third Thursday of the month. This is what I'm going to do. And so I'm planning that by putting that on your calendar and setting a reminder to make sure that you're doing it maybe 2 weeks in advance. Now you're advertising for it and you're pushing out what the subject matter is, and you're targeting certain people with whom it is, and you're driving them to attend that class, right? We do that here at PWM with the major loan lab, like the monthly / quarterly events that we hold when we invite a number of real estate agents or referral partners. We do that kind of stuff. And we suggest that you do the same. The same could be something to affect maybe the Thursday call when you're trying to attract a particular person to join the team and they need some additional information about what it means to join PWM. You drive them to the Thursday call with Doug, whatever it happens to be. But those kinds of things are set in stone. They happen. And what will happen is after a certain amount of repetitions, the people that you've invited and that have come to an event, or at least know that you hosted an event, they're going to start to remember that you do this, whatever the activity is, on a regular basis on around this day. It is a long-term play. It is something that will build your reputation. But just like anything else in this world, honestly, what you focus on and where you're spending your time is where your results are going to be driven. All right. So what I want you to understand is this. And I've put this practice into actual activity. This is not just hyperbole, you guys. This is me, what I do. Okay. When I was in-house, working as an in-house loan officer per se, I had 37 offices that I covered. Okay. The territory was 750 square miles, and it was challenging to get to every office one time a month just because of the volume of travel that was required in order to do so. I was a road warrior. And I had that job for 2.5 years, and we built it into one of the most prolific in-house relationships between a bank and a real estate company ever. And it was by far the best that bank had ever done by a ridiculous margin. anyway, the point is that consistency matters. These real estate agents and the branch managers of these 37 different offices knew exactly what day I was coming. They knew what time I was going to be there to present. They knew that I was going to bring some sort of a refreshment of some kind so that they didn't have to go out and do purchase something in advance unless they wanted to. They knew I was always going to bring something healthy rather than something sugary. They just knew it because this is what I did on a regular basis. It was consistent. They could rely on it and they could trust it. All right. So if you're doing the same, if you're hosting a class, and let's assume it's a Zoom, like on a Friday at 9:30 every single Friday, I don't know, somebody's doing something like that, I'm sure. But if you do something like that, you want to make sure that the general audience knows about it, or that you're working with your IT person to get those things done, which is what I'm doing right now, so that we attract a number of folks to that class. The same thing would be true with your happy hour if you're going to do something like that. Believe me, nothing worked better for me than the happy hours that I hosted. Okay, now we have COVID, which is a different animal in present day and how people are operating. So depending upon where you are in the country, whether or not this is something that you can do or something that you choose to do is up to you. But essentially what I did is I would invite a large amount of people, 50, 55, 60 real estate agents, other loan officers, title company people, pest control folks, you name it. Essentially the smorgasbord of people that are in our industry and vendors alike, right? And I would invite them to say, hey, let's all just get together on Tuesday, like the second Tuesday of every month, and I'll send you the invite as to where we're going to meet, but it'll be in my hometown, whatever that hometown is. It'll be in, for instance, now it would be in South Lake Tahoe, or it would be previously in Brentwood or Walnut Creek or some other place like that, where I knew that there was a hub of people that I could attract to a particular restaurant or bar and grill or whatever, that had a space that was conducive to a lot of conversation. I told them it was nothing more than for us to get together and socialize and do things that are non-business related. It was purely just a get together. That's all it was, to celebrate each other and remind each other that we're all in this together, and we're essentially creating a team environment. And I didn't care if other loan officers came. To me, that was fine. It gave me an opportunity to meet them face to face, because there were many times when I would go up against them head to head in terms of competing for business. And I wanted to get to know them and network with them. And it wasn't pressure. It was tension, depending upon who you were meeting. But there wasn't that big of a deal. And so the beauty of all this was no one expected me to pay for anything. No one expected me to basically provide them a ride home or anything like that if they partook in alcohol or whatever. It was simply just a casual social gathering. And I initially, when I put this together, I was like, I wonder if anybody's going to come, honestly. And quite honestly, the first time I had it, I had about 15 people show up. At the peak, I had like 35, 40 people that would show. But in general, it was somewhere between 8 and 12 people that would show up, and everybody knew it was the same night of the week that I did it, essentially around an event, usually around a sporting event or around something that was going on, so people could be somewhat distracted and just kind of take a breath and do something, other than think about their marketing plan, their listing, their buyer. And if they wanted to just come in and complain, they could do that. And it was an incredible, cathartic, fun, relaxing environment, and everybody laughed, and that was the beauty of it all. And it was just something that we all did, and I got so much praise for just organizing it, that it created relationships with people who I had never met before, really in person, other than to do the initial, hi, how are you? My name's Ed, I'm a loan officer, blah, blah, blah. This was much more personal, and it just broke down the ice that surrounded their hearts. And they allowed me to become their friend, which is exactly what I'm trying to do anyway. I just want to be friendly with you, get to know you better, network with you, and determine whether or not I want to do business with you. That was the happy hour strategy. The face-to-face meeting thing that's on here, it was essentially, if I'm going to do face-to-face, I want to block it. And this is a concept where I have these hours available. So when you are making your calls on Monday, as an example, and you're booking appointments, you're booking them for Wednesday sometime between 12 and 4. Why? Because it is a sacred block of time where you could put two or three appointments in there if you wanted to, and they could be back to back to back, and you can knock them all out at the same place, at the same venue, and have people, drive them to that place. If you wanted to pick a particular Starbucks or a particular coffee house, let's just say, I'm not going to endorse one over the other, or a particular, I don't know, kind of garden setting in a restaurant where they would allow you to stay for 3-4 hours. They have a patio with, space heaters or who knows, fans in the summertime. You pick it. It's something that you enjoy. You get to know the staff there. They know who you are. They know what you're doing there. And you can set the environment and they understand. And you get to know, the waiters, the waitresses, and the management as well. So they have an understanding and they know what you're doing there, and they are in support of it, or they're like, this is too much. You're kind of occupying one of our spaces. We'd really appreciate you. We'd love for you to come back, stay an hour, maybe 2, but not 4. Okay, so maybe that's not the best restaurant, or you locate next door, or you find something like that. But this is you planning these things rather than you getting somebody on the phone who says, yeah, I'll be happy to meet you. And they're like, oh, you're Elmer Fudding your way through where are we going to meet? What are we going to do? So I have this restaurant that I frequent. I'd love to meet you there sometime between 12 and 4 on Wednesday. What do you say? Okay, great. That sounds fine. Wonderful. And then, you've got it prepared and you're ready to go, and everyone's ready for you. You could do this on multiple times during the week, and I'm going to show you a live example essentially right now. So let's do this. New share. All right. So I'm going to minimize the faces so I'm not super distracted. What you're looking at is my calendar, and I picked a couple of weeks out into the future because this is just the static things that are on my calendar every single week. All right. You can see my wake up routine is on here. From priming, my affirmations, visualizations. Man on Fire is an organization to which I belong. It's a men's club, and we have consciousness exercises that we do, and there's 12 of them. And so that's planned in there as well. I got the weekly sales huddle in here for UWM every Wednesday. I've got, different stretches and things that I'm doing or whatever, just stuff. All right. I have Food for Thought Friday that I send to my downline, just to some kind of a different idea of information that I send to the people who I've brought to the company, or who are, former proteges of mine or something to that effect. I just have a distribution list that I said, here's an idea, you guys try this, that kind of stuff. Here's our basic training class, our marketing classes, and then of course, Renegade, right? But I want you to notice that, yes, everything is color-coded. It is color-coded for a particular reason. Purple is essentially something that is exclusively for me, and it has to do with self-care. So these are things that I'm very protective of. I'll listen to the weekly sales huddle. Sometimes in this block, sometimes I wait until 9 o'clock to put it in there, as long as it can get done before Lone Lab starts, and sometimes I miss it, sometimes I don't, but I get, whatever. But you'll notice that there's other stuff. I have at least one Saturday a month where I'm doing something exclusively for me, period. And I've blocked that time. This happens to be that Saturday. It's the second Saturday of every single month. It's on my calendar in perpetuity to do exactly that. And the toughest part for me is just to remind myself that I need to honor that block, because sometimes I'll just throw it out, or I'll schedule over the top of it. And then you've got, your standard stuff that I'm doing every single day. I'm prospecting and taking applications, or I'm recruiting. These are the blocks into which I will schedule those activities. So if I'm going to do some prospecting and meeting with people, or outbound reach, I'm going to do it between 11:30 and 3 o'clock on Monday, and on Wednesday and on Friday. You'll notice there's a session in the middle there. That's a marketing session to a group to which I belong. It is a secondary activity in the event that I don't have a ton of prospecting that I'm doing on that particular day, which would be rare. And you'll notice that these things alternate. They go from morning to afternoon to just in the afternoon. You see that the prospecting and taking apps goes from 3 to 5 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And these two things alternate. My recruiting, so my outbound reach, my creating different copy funnels, all the stuff that I put onto the internet, this particular stuff, whatever content I need to prepare so that I'm ready to go and distribute it to the masses. And then the last thing in the evening time, you'll see our Tuesday night leadership call coincides with a Man on Fire call. So oftentimes I'll have both things going simultaneously, kind of listening to one over the other, depending upon content. And then the last thing is I do a regular yoga on Thursday. It's yoga and wine, and it's down by the beach. I just started doing this yesterday, and now I got it planned forever, evermore. And the final thing that I do every day is I write down 5 things that I accomplished today. I write my to-do list essentially for tomorrow, things I need to accomplish tomorrow. And then I do a gratitude meditation, usually an overnight meditation. And that's what this one is, play the overnight gratitude. Okay. So that's just an example of a time block. That's all that is. That's static. Okay. As you get into a regular week, let me show you real life. Okay. So let's go back into here. Okay. And I'm sharing this already. Good. All right. So this is last week. All right. We've got all kinds of different stuff that is added to here. I had a Zoom with Jamie. I had a meeting with Austin. I had different stuff. I had different restaurants that I was going to. I had a different Zoom on Friday. All kinds of random stuff that is in here from, there's David. That's the call that we had, David, that was supposed to be 15 minutes that lasted almost 2 hours. Revisions to the recruitment presentation and stuff like that. There was an appointment I had with Doug and Robert, et cetera, et cetera. Different things. There's my football on Monday, on Sunday, I'm sorry, the last game of the year for us, unfortunately, for my team. But you get the idea, you guys. You're booking different stuff. And I've got my Calendly application, which is how I drive different appointments connected and synchronized with my calendar. So in the middle of the week, when you saw those prospecting and recruiting different things, my Calendly application will allow for a consultation with one of my proteges, as an example, during those 2 blocks, but only for a protege. It won't allow it to do something for, for instance, if somebody else wanted to book a time, like a 15-minute call or something like that, those times are blocked, and they won't allow those things to happen then. So I'm very scientific, I guess, and strategic about what I will allow to happen within those blocks, because I want to protect that time so that I don't just end up doing 5, 6, 7 different things that aren't task specific, that will ultimately lead to revenue. Okay. And what does the revenue bring me? All the different things that I've got in terms of a plan or a goal in mind or whatever. Okay. So that's the idea behind blocking the time. Okay. So you guys have certain activities that you're going to want to take place, or that you're going to want to implement. These activities are hopefully revenue generating. And you might think to yourself, okay, so what do I got to do? I got to do my 30 outbound calls. I got to follow up with those people, and throughout the course of the week. I got to book my appointments. When am I going to book them? Where am I going to book them? Now you have a more strategic idea behind what we talk about on Tuesday and on Thursday in particular, so that when you're doing, your basic foundational marketing plan and how to execute, now you've got a better structure around how to implement that plan so that it will actually bring you results. Now, in time, you would learn these things naturally, just because, this isn't working for me. I'm calling all these people on Monday. I'm getting a few of them, and we're scattered around the county as to where we're going to meet. And it will take you some time, just by, just the nature of it all, to find different places where you want to be. All right. But that's fine. You can do that. And you can always rely on the standards and whatever, the coffee houses, the Paneras, or the bakeries, or whatever you got local, the Dunkins, you name it. You can rely on those types of things to a degree, but the atmosphere is what I'm most interested in you guys having the most success. All right. Anyhow, the point is that over the course of time, you'll get a rhythm about this, but I want you now to have that rhythm to be in place a whole lot sooner than just by natural selection. Okay. So having that idea is the way to begin. So let's talk about additional activities beyond just making phone calls and trying to be nice and book appointments and those kinds of things. Let's talk about what does the realtor community nowadays, what do they value more than what the foundational platform or the plan that we talk about in terms of how to get these people to pay attention. Sometimes it needs to be more than just, hey, I'm a nice person and I know my stuff. Hey, I follow up like crazy and I'm trying to give you evidence of that. What else beyond that is going to work? And T, this kind of goes to your question when you were having initial struggles with that, where you're calling up and you're presenting these scripts to these folks, and their response was light at best as to whether or not it was of value to them or not. Okay, so let me make sure I got the right thing going on here, and I do. Okay, so bear with me 1 second. Let's see. All right. And the last thing, I just want to make sure that this is the right one that I'm putting on here. All right, so let's get to the beginning. Here we go. Sorry for that long pause, y'all. Boom. Okay, what you should be seeing right now is a PDF that was put out by a company called Total Expert. Total Expert is run by a lady by the name of Sue Woodward. Sue's been in the industry as long as I have, maybe even longer. Used to go on tours with people like Barry Habib. Gosh, I'm trying to remember the names of all these other people. Mike McMahon, Tim McMahon, I'm sorry. All these incredible mortgage originator and educational types. She's great. She's fantastic. And now she's running Total Expert. Okay. If you don't follow her on social media, I suggest that you do. Sue Woodward. Okay. Check her out on Facebook or look up Total Expert. Great content that you can utilize in your own business. Total Expert is a CRM, just so you, in full disclosure, I don't endorse and I don't not endorse. It's up to you guys to determine whether or not you want to use something like that. I'm a fan of her. So it's more about what I like about her than it is about what I like about that product. Just giving you a heads up. Okay. Somebody is not muted and I'm just going to double check here right quick. Mute. There we go. Anyone else? No. All right, cool. All right, so check this out. These are do's and don'ts. This is available in the back office. I'm not on the back office. I'm sorry. In the Dropbox. I'll post the link in just a few minutes. So what we already know about our industry is that it is a social industry. It requires relationship. Without it, you're basically buying leads and trying to attract business that way. And no judgment one way or the other, but the consistent referral-based relationship is one that will survive multiple markets, okay? Save maybe the mortgage meltdown of 2008 when, you know, we lost a huge percentage of people in the industry and people just basically, you know, hunkered down. So what I've highlighted on here for you guys is just the general concepts, okay? So what does a realtor want? A symbiotic relationship, meaning you give me leads, I give you, you know, borrowers, you know, buyers. So they want to give and take. All right, so how do you go out and get leads for people? We've talked about the lost leads conversation. I'll have an entire renegade about lost leads, but in a nutshell, lost leads is when you're having that conversation with that real estate agent, you can interrogate and find out from them the number of closings that they've had, for instance, in the last 12 months. let's say their example is I've had 20. Let's make the math easy. I've had 24. I've closed two deals a month. I've had 24 closings last 12 months. Fantastic. In order to have those 12 closings, how many people do you think you had to talk to in order to get that many closings? And they'll boast in general. They'll usually say something, a number that's significantly higher than the number that they closed. In this example, let's just say 75. Okay. So you talked to 75 people, you closed 25 of them. Outstanding. The follow-up question is, what do you think those other 50 people did? Did they buy a house in the last year? Did they sell a house in the last year? And the answer, of course, is yes, of course they did, but they just didn't happen to use that real estate agent. Lost leads are those 50 people. And you can set up a marketing plan to stay in touch with those people so that you are the driver to bringing those leads back to that real estate agent, so that instead of them losing them to some other realtor, they're able to recapture them. In digital marketing, this is something that's known as retargeting, okay? And they've taken this concept and essentially digitized it. There we go. So where this is when you're like looking at something on Amazon and you choose not to buy it, you close out the window and you're scrolling through your Facebook feed or something like that, and an ad for the exact thing that you were just looking at is now on your screen as a sponsored ad of some kind. And you're like, Big Brother's watching. That's retargeting. That's what that is. You'll get banner ads, you'll get side banner ads, you'll get stuff that'll show up right in your feed. It's bizarre, but it's happened, and I'm sure you've seen it happen. That's retargeting. You're essentially going to retarget the people that the realtor has lost. And how do you identify that from the very beginning? There isn't a way to identify from the person that you meet today whether or not they're going to be someone who either closes a deal with that realtor or not. And so you're collecting all of the leads and putting them into some kind of a funnel where they're being contacted and consistently provided value so that they consistently come back. And you'll be able to track that. You'll be able to track that information. That's the lost leads conversation. That's how you can give a lead back to a realtor. There's also other methods. Of course, you can do your own advertisements. You can promote your own things. And if you notice down here that there are things that they refer to that I've highlighted, you can help a realtor promote their listing. You can take their listing that they have on Facebook and share it, or on any kind of social media and share it amongst others and say, hey, one of my realtor partners has got this open house this weekend, wanted you to be aware of it, and you distribute it to the groups that you're part of on Facebook or on Twitter or on LinkedIn or any of the other social media platforms where you can help promote to your sphere that listing, and thereby helping them market it. And it's a simple task. It doesn't require much energy to do such a thing, but the people that are on your feed sometimes will be different than the people that are on their feed. In fact, oftentimes will be. And so you're opening up that information to an entirely new audience. And if you do something as much as promote it, let's say you boost it. That's the example. I think in Facebook, they do something called Boost, where you put $3 to $5 behind it. You're going to be able to get a significant amount of reach and then report that back to your realtor. Okay, so hey, I boosted the listing, and from the analytics, it looks like it went to 350 people. So there's oh, you did that? You spent money on that? Yeah, I'm trying to help you sell your house. Well, that's really cool. Yeah, no kidding. All right, and that's just a strategy that you can employ, and you can use data to identify and make first contact with borrowers most likely and ready to buy a home, i.e. the people in your database or the people in your sphere, just mentioning to them and always promoting that kind of stuff and saying, hey, these people who I know and who like and trust me, family, friends, etc., former coworkers, you name it, they all know who I am, they know what I do, and they trust me pretty much, I would hope. And so I'm promoting to them that listing and possibly getting them or any number of different listings that this is what I do. Come back to me, we'll get you pre-approved, and then I'll deliver them to the real estate agents who I think best match that person, that personality. They specialize in working with people that fit that demographic, you name it. So as an example, you might have folks in your sphere. I'm just going to generalize and call your sphere. And one of them raises their hand and wants to get pre-approved. They're a retired teacher. Okay. They're looking to essentially downsize from the home that they're in, where they raised their kids and sent them off to school. And now they're off raising their own families. And now it's time to downsize. We want to move into a 55 and older community. And, how can you help us, Ed? Yes, of course I can. So I get them pre-approved. Am I going to take that person that is, a friend of mine in my sphere, and knowing their situation, am I going to take that person and deliver them to a first-time home buyers, specialist in the real estate community? No, it's not a model match. So I'm going to model match their scenario, their situation, with the realtor who I believe will help them most. And you could do this based on personality as well. I mean, it could be something as simple as, this is a true extrovert and they like socialization. They want an abundant amount of communication. Do I want to send them to someone who is more methodical and more deliberate with the way that they communicate? Probably not. I think I'd rather send them to somebody who is more of a personality match, someone who is a social butterfly, involved in a number of different communication type of activities, social media, texting. They're prolific with the way that they communicate, and maybe in addition to that, also work with 55 and older community types. They're familiar with them. They know the HOAs and the rules that are associated with them, the restrictions, those kinds of things. So you get what I'm talking about here, you guys, I'm sure. All right. All right. So let me check something really quick here. All right. What I'm doing is I'm looking at your faces. I'm hoping. There we go. And what I'm trying to figure out is if you're all still awake. All right. So if you're all still with me, give me a reaction. Show me something. All right.
I'm here.
All right. Good to know. I'm not just sitting here talking to myself. Attaboy, Monica. I appreciate it. Attaboy. Attagirl, Monica. Alyssa, Sandy, y'all. T with the claps and the cheers. I love it.
Sounds
Thank
great.
you. Hey, Paulo. Thank you, my friend. All right. All right. We're going to move down. Okay. Remember, this is available in the Dropbox. I'll put the link in there in just a second. You'll be able to see all this very soon. Okay. All right. So another to-do, use marketing automation. So in my opinion, and I can express opinion on Renegade because it's my show. On the other things, I keep my mouth quiet because I want to make sure that you guys just get the foundational stuff together. But once you get the foundational stuff together in how to market and what you're doing in terms of the accountability programs and things to that effect that we run here at PWM, I want you to level up, okay? And I want you to be able to be aware of and how to utilize technology to your advantage. And it may require you to invest a little bit of money to do something like this. So understand that, not for naught, things are not always for free, but there's plenty of free resources that you can start with. And then when you start closing some loans, you have the opportunity to level up. But I'm going to tell you, we've mentioned this a little bit yesterday. There are mass distribution text messaging programs. There are mass distribution voicemail programs that are ringless voicemail that'll be dropped immediately into a voicemail without that person's phone ringing. There's video technology that you can utilize. Heck, you have it. You have a phone. You can record yourself. In fact, this weekend, I'm going to be doing some recording for my own ad run that I'm doing down by the lake, just to kind of give a winter setting and just kind of make it topical and I guess seasonal, right? So that folks can say, hey, there's snow. It must be wintertime where he is. Yeah, exactly. Those kinds of things. But I really want you to entertain the idea of at some point in time, and you could put this in your goals, on that calendar of yours where you've blocked everything out as to what you're going to do. You can put a goal in there and have it remind you X number of weeks or months in advance that it's time to take down a more robust CRM or a more robust or add ringless voicemail, add mass text messaging, whatever it is that you're going to do. So I'm going to give you an example. If any of you attended the Daily AI thing yesterday, Daily AI is the CRM that I use, okay? And I will most definitely endorse them. They just bought a program called Whiteboard. Whiteboard was created by Brian Bomar and his team and his wife. Brian is a friend of mine. Ryan Grant is a friend of mine as well. Ryan is not in the partnership with Daily AI, but I'll call him a pro level user of Daily AI. You can use that program or any other for that matter. But what Daily AI encapsulates is pretty simple stuff, but it's high level tech. Of course, you can create your own campaigns, which is what I've done. And with those campaigns, you can deliver ringless voicemail. You can do mass texting. And of course, you can have email, but you can embed video into that email. And you can also embed video into texts. Okay. So all the things that I talk about that are the next level, that's next level, at least from a concept of doing something that is different than what your competition is doing. And the simple question I will ask you is the same one I asked yesterday on our Thursday call. And that is this: when's the last time anyone has sent you a video text ever? Like when? Is it recent? Is it frequent? But if they did, do you remember who it was? My guess is yes. Okay. And I gave the example yesterday in class that Laura Wuscher, who's a friend of mine, she's a real estate agent in Pleasant Hill, California, prolific, like top-notch real estate agent, right? She received a video text from me in 2012, okay? This is when I first started doing these kinds of things. And all I was doing is like a 15-second little, hey, just was thinking about you today, Laura. Just wanted to say hello. Hope you're doing well. Go get them this weekend. If you need any help, my phone number is 925-594-1221. Give me a ring and send. I did that with her as an example. I did it with all the people in the classes that I was taking, which is another pro tip, by the way, but I digress. I would just send a quick little hi, how are you? Nice to see you. And it's the weekend, have some fun, enjoy yourself. I'm thinking about you. That's it. That's all. Just something pleasant, right? She still remembers that to this day. When I associate with her, when I drop little messages on her Facebook feed because she's posting about her son who just graduated, et cetera, or, all those kinds of things, I'm in there, saying congratulations or whatever, just that kind of stuff. Those things, these people remember you because you did something that is incredibly unique. I can't say it loud enough, because in the time that I've been talking about these things, which is more than a year now with our company, I've seen 2 loan officers implement this a little bit. One is fantastic and does it every week. And he just happens to be in my downline and I love him to pieces. He's fantastic. His name is Austin as well. Austin kills it. Every week I get a distribution from him and he starts it, and he's created a motif, a logo for himself. He's the mountain biking loan officer. He's the MBLO. Okay. And he basically does this little video where he starts with a thought of the day, which I love. And by the way, he's in his helmet with his bike in the background, and he's on some trail somewhere, and he's got his camera, with its little tripod attached to a tree or something like that, and he records. And he starts with the little thought of the day or the saying of the day, and then he gets into maybe a product that is available or something that he's noticing about the market, or he gives an update of some kind, or just a heads up, these are the things that are changing in the industry, be prepared. And then he always ends it with, I'll see you on the trail. And it is fabulous. It's fabulous. And it will take him a number of months and years, depending upon how he's distributing that information. Hopefully he's doing it to more than just a few folks. I know that he is, but that repetition and that brand that he's creating will in fact carry further into years into the future, whether he continues to mountain bike or not, which I know that he will. But that's an idea of what I'm talking about, guys. It's an email. It's got a picture of him. It's got a link and everything like that, because he's not using the program that I'm using, but he's figured out a way to embed the video into the email, and you can watch it, and it's fantastic. I love it. Does anybody have any kind of ideas about that? Has anyone tried to implement anything like that, or does that sound like a really kind of a cool idea that you can do?
Sounds like a really, really cool idea, and it sets you apart from 98% of the others because people aren't doing it.
There's no one doing it. I'm telling you, even if you consider that Austin is doing it, but to what audience? Is it your same audience? Is it in the same I don't know, state where you were operating. The chances are not. And even if it were, you're still going to be the other person who does a similar kind of idea. You're one of 2 people now in the world that person has received a video text or a video email from. So will they remember you? Of course they'll remember you. But mind my words here, you guys, and I'm telling you this sincerely. Video has become and will become the predominant method of communication, if it hasn't already, in my opinion. Things like TikTok, Reels, Shorts, all these different things that you're seeing every time you open up a social media. Any millennial, come in and chime in, you guys. This is how these people communicate. Okay, and it could be no word communication. It's just them standing there, doing something silly like this, looking at something, and that's their way of communicating. They're making an impression by doing something like that, whatever it is. I'm telling you right now, think about yourself, and then I'm going to project myself, which is I get more email in a given day than I could possibly read. If all I did all day was read email, that would be all I could do all day long, is read email. I open up my inbox in the morning after I've done my stuff, my routine, and I'm ready to go. And I open it and I highlight the emails that I don't want to read and I delete them. I have no interest in reading them because I know what they're about. They're rate sheets, they're promotions of something. You kill them, right? You just get rid of them. You don't even open them. So imagine how, if you could get into someone's inbox, be it through text, which is by far the best way, and then end up using an email format saying, hey, listen, I just wanted to send you a quick little video, let you know that I just sent you an email. It's got a link in there of me, kind of doing a little bit longer video, but check it out. I just want to let you know it's on the way. Nice to meet you. My name's Ed. Whatever, see you on the trail, as Austin would say. Whatever it is, do your thing and then drive them to go and look at what you want to deliver to them, which might be you doing more than a 5, 15, 20-second little clip, and you doing a 2-minute speech about DSCR, about the changes that are coming with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac when it relates to second homes and investment properties with the loan level price adjusters, and which lenders are putting those into effect now or whatever. It depends on your audience. It could be, hey, I just wanted to let you know, random consumer, that there's a house for sale in your neighborhood, and it's being listed by Mary Jo, real estate agent, who's a friend of mine, and it's open this weekend from 10 to 4. Come on by and check it out. And that's the email that you send out to the distribution of people in the neighborhood. But you're like, well, Ed, how do I get their email addresses? From the title company. You do a title company search, you do a radius search around the address, you augment it for phones and emails, and that's a distribution list that you create for yourself and that real estate agent. Something like that, where you did a radius search of maybe, I don't know, half a mile around the house, and you were able to get emails and phone numbers for people, and you're able to do a campaign to invite the neighborhood to come and see the house. What other loan officer is doing that right now? Anybody? Any of you? I see no hands. All right. So if how many of us, the 20 of us aren't doing that, what do you think the possibility of the remainder of the loan officer population? Is anybody doing anything like that? Probably not. So work with that title company, create the lists. If you don't know how to do that, call me later and I can tell you how to do that. But you can create a list and do marketing campaigns around people's listings. How different would that make you when you're sitting with the realtor and they're saying, you know what, it's not necessarily hard to sell a listing right now, but it's a strategy that you can put into place right now. And instead of going and knocking on everybody's door, which nobody really wants to do anyway, right? Especially in weather. Now you can do it video. You can do a distribution video or a distribution text and remind them, hey, come to the open house. Come and check it out. What's up? Monica, go for it.
Yes, I attempted to do a couple of short videos for a YouTube channel, and I did like 3 of them. And then my daughter, she's like, you're not looking straight at the camera. So
everybody's a critic, Monica.
Yeah,
everybody's a critic.
Because I had my prompting thing on the side, so I was trying to read that.
Hey, believe me, you'll see me like looking this direction every once in a while. I'm sure you've seen it. It's because the faces of you all, I've minimized to one particular place. I have to remind myself to drag it underneath my webcam So I'm kind of at least looking in that general direction. These are great tips that you guys can utilize. But again, video is fantastic. Learn how to do the backdrop, learn how to blur the backdrop, learn how to use whatever format that you're using. You'll notice in our company, we use two different formats. We use Zoom and we use GoToMeeting. And by the time that we all get on GoToMeeting, nobody knows how to use that thing. I mean, we use it once a week and everybody's like, how do you mute people? What do you do here? And you're able to look into everybody's, junkyard that is in their house because you can't figure out how to put up the backdrop. Oh my gosh, it's a nightmare. Anyway, the point is that you guys, if you're going to do this kind of stuff, learn how to do it. I mean, anybody can learn anything on YouTube for free. I mean, literally everything that you wanted to learn in life is probably on there. So check it out and do that. Okay. All right. I'm gonna race through the last couple of things on here so that I don't keep you too much longer, you guys. All right. So I'm going to scroll down. Another to do is the social media feed and the number, the frequency with which you post. Okay. So these kinds of things, if you're not planning them, then you ought to be able to promote them in some way by scheduling them. Now, with one of our companies that we promote the most here at PWM, or one of our wholesale companies that is our primary, business partner, they have a suite of marketing services that they offer and are available to anyone in our company. You can utilize that program. I'm sure you all know who I'm talking about. You can utilize that program and schedule distributions of social media posts. Okay. Like up to a month in advance. You can go in one time at the beginning of the month, put a plan together, schedule everything, and then it's done. You've picked whatever you're going to put out there into the Ethernet, and it's going to go whenever you tell it to be distributed, and it's going to post. Now, that is a fantastic service that you can utilize. Is it going to be super engaging per se? Probably not, but at the very least, it is routine and it's regular. It is going to be that thing that is going to be sent out to everyone. It's going to be on your feed, and there's going to be another opportunity for people to remember what it is that you do. Okay. One of the travesties in our industry is that we have close friends and family members who need to go and buy a house, and they don't know what you do. They have no idea that you lend money for a living. They don't have a clue because we just assume that our family members know what we do. And I could tell you right now, I have cousins, I have aunts and uncles, just like everybody, right? And I can probably tell you, I don't know what all of them do. I don't. I know that I see them at Thanksgiving and at Christmas and at Easter, and we all kind of congregate at football games. And for the longest time, I have one of my younger cousins, he got his degree in construction management. What does that mean? I don't exactly know, or I didn't know at the time. Now I do. And what I didn't know was that he was working for a major builder, and he had influence. Not that he was working for I knew that he was working for a major builder. I just never bothered to even entertain the idea of, nudging him and saying, hey, can you help me? And finally, it dawned on me that this was someone who I probably ought to ask at the very least and say, hey, can you help a brother out? And he introduced me to a number of people inside of that builder. That builder had contractual relationships that were going to expire at some point in time. And I just basically had an opportunity to pitch, and I did it. And I asked them, how would a person like myself who doesn't have a contract with you be able to work with a builder like yourself? And they just opened up and they just gave me the keys to the kingdom. This is what you need to do. You need to go visit those sales agents that are at the development and tell them that you've had conversations with us, and they'll be happy to converse with you, or at least they should. And if you can do things that our existing in-house lender cannot, by all means, take care of it. We're looking to sell houses. We don't make any money by working with lenders. We can't do that anymore. It used to be that they could, but they can't anymore. So give it a shot. And wow, just because I had a cousin who, when I was growing up, was about half my size. He was only a few years younger than me, but that's the way the perception of when you're 16 and your 11-year-old cousin is hanging on your arm trying to get you to play ball or something like that, and you get annoyed. But when you're 50 and your 45-year-old cousin or 44-year-old cousin is got influence with a builder and you happen to do loans for a living, all of a sudden he's your best friend. So you get my meaning, but that's the kind of stuff we have untapped resources. Tap them. All right. Post, get in front of people, use the technology to your advantage. All right. Schedule your posts in advance. All right. The last one here I'm going to mention to you here is the database that we can access. The information that we can access nowadays is ridiculous. When the when the Patriot Act went into effect, it basically made everything available. And in the period of time since that law went into effect to present day, there is virtually there's a ton of information that you can get about all kinds of different folks for very little money. There was a time when I needed to do a skip trace on a person, and for $2, I was able to find out addresses, former addresses, phone numbers, relatives. I mean, you name it, you can find a whole bunch of different stuff, right? Yeah, David's saying 6 degrees of separation, you know, and that's true. It is amazing the volume of information that you can collect. All right, utilize resources like that. One of the major aggregators of information is a company called LexisNexis. Okay, you can create an account with them. There are a bunch of these types of companies where you can collect a whole bunch of different data. You can use it to your advantage. That's exactly what marketers do. They take this information and they pilot different parts of their marketing towards a particular demographic. The more strategic that you can become, the better you are in terms of being able to target specific folks. If you're able to learn how to do these kinds of things, guys, and manage these types of resources, you have become insanely more valuable to a realtor or to any other, you know, ancillary in our industry, because you can help deliver people that they don't know, and quite honestly that you don't know, but you can target campaigns to people that fit a demographic that would work for selling, for instance, that home in the 55 and older community, for selling that condominium that is in an HOA with restrictions about this, that, and the other thing. Well, you know, find the people who would, you know, not have those restrictions affect their lives. How do I do that? You know, do I mass advertise? That's expensive. Do I target advertise? Let me get a list of people that would potentially fit this category. You could do things like that all day long. All right. So in summary, what I want you to recognize is this. Okay. You've got now a plan as to what you want to earn, and you've got the activities that you need to do in order to achieve that goal, at least in the frequency of activities, the numbers that you need to do. Now you have some specifics you can incorporate along with the outbound reach that you're doing, however many days of the week that you're doing it. You know, you can do it all on a Monday. You can spread it out throughout the week. I don't care the methodology. It doesn't matter to me, but follow that same percentages, the 30 contacts a week, the 10 open houses a week. Either or is fine. I'm going to tell you that probably doing a combination of them both is wise. Doing that, and then once you get into relationship with these people, once you're talking with these folks, these additional resources that we're talking about, these additional ways about gaining trust and building their marketing plan together is going to separate you from the abundance of loan officers out there in the world. And my hope is that you're able to implement some of these things to a degree that will make you, you know, incredibly more valuable than the next person who's doing the exact same thing. And so when someone gives you an objection and they say, you know, well, what are you going to tell me that I don't already know? Well, these are some of the things that I can sprinkle on you and say, well, you know, the people that I've met with so far were really appreciative of this particular idea. And I can show you how we can implement something like that, you know, on Tuesday or maybe in a subsequent meeting, because the subject matter is a little bit more, you know, intense than a 15-minute coffee. But let's start where we need to start. We'll introduce ourselves, and if you determine that it's worth your while to entertain something like that, then we'll definitely do that. How's that? Okay, so what's Thursday looking like for you? But you know, some people are going to press you. Some people are going to want to know the solution before you ever get a chance to meet with them. If any of you have ever heard a story about or you know anything about the advertising industry, Saatchi & Saatchi is a company that does massive advertising. They used to have the Apple account, the hammer, and that old advertisement, if you remember, from basically the Big Brother ad that Apple did way back in the day. That was a Saatchi & Saatchi, okay? And Apple, just like other major companies, will do something like this, where they will invite you as their advertising company to come in and repitch them. And they'll also invite your competition to do the exact same thing. Come in and repitch us, tell us how you would sell this, this, and this. What kind of advertising campaign will you do? And they'll sit there and collect all that information with no intention whatsoever of changing companies, none. And all they will do is collect those ideas, give them to the company that they are already doing business with whom they're already doing business. I fixed myself, James, with whom they're already doing business. and ask that company to fulfill those kinds of ideas. And the people that have spent hours and days and months doing research and preparing their presentation fail. And because all they did is just give away the store before they ever got an opportunity to sell. So when you're talking to one of these real estate agents or one of these referral partners in general, you can sprinkle some of the ideas, but don't give away the store, because all they're going to do is just never meet with you and then bail on you and give it to their existing lender and walk. Okay. So be protective of yourself. Don't just give away everything all at once. All right. Let me do this. Let me get the link to the Dropbox and put it in here. Let's see. All right. Boom. All right. That's the Dropbox. That's the Marketing My Mortgage Business Dropbox. It's been alive now for coming up on 2 years. All right. There's a whole bunch of content in there. These are some of the PDFs. What you've seen today are some of the PDFs that are just loose in there. They're not in any particular folder. Go through these things, you guys. I'm going to save the one with the highlights on it because that is different than what you'll initially download. If you went there right now, it would just be blank. Either way is fine. But I'm going to check the chat. Does anybody have any questions? We went about 20 minutes over than what I expected to. Anybody got any questions or comments that they want to make?
Just real quickly, Mom said to tell you that you're saying realtor when you should be saying realtor.
You're absolutely right.
Here's the thing. It's from the top down, because Robert says realtor 100 times during those presentations that he gives us. Pitt says realtor all the time. Doug's pretty good. He says realtor.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, I would hope somebody would at least chat with Robert and Pitt and ask them. I mean, those guys are successful. They've been in business forever, just like you, and yet they're still saying realtor, which is like, it's a pet peeve of mine. So
Yep.
sorry to
There's
bring
no
it up.
extra A in there. There's just realtor. Okay?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, my friend Tom Hart used to give presentations. He was the guy who ran the San Ramon Marketing Association, which was just a real estate tour meeting, right? And he was just like you, James. He was like, no, I am not a realtor. I'm a realtor. Okay. So he was adamant about it. Now you just made me remember Tom. So here's to you, Tom, buddy.
Sometimes you might actually talk to a real estate agent. You might talk to a real estate agent and say realtor, and that actually might turn them off.
Oh, you're right. You're absolutely right. Or they'll correct you, and then they'll remember that.
Yeah.
Realtor.
Yeah.
What you were saying, David?
Good luck getting Robert to change that, because if he changes that, he might actually change that smoke detector battery too.
Yep, you're absolutely right. I met Robert in April of 19. No, April of 20. That thing was chirping then. Okay. Oh, goodness. And it's not as simple as just replacing the batteries. That whole house is hardwired with that stuff. I told him last year, I said, if things work out, I'm going to buy you an electrician for Christmas, so the son of a gun could come in with the scissor lift and fix all that stuff for you. Oy, but
I missed the point that you guys were talking about, but one other thing, if you could put your link to your Calendly in the chat, that would be great.
Yeah.
Calendly?
Yeah. The Calendly link
Yep,
to get in touch with me?
please.
Yeah, happy. Let me jump on it. Calendly.
One quick question, Ed. When you invite these realtors to those events that you do, you send them a text message, you call them or email them. How do you do it?
It depends, but usually now that I have the technology to do so, I do both. I will send an email invitation and a reminder as well. That's the whole idea behind, what
Right,
I'm
keeping
trying
in
to do.
touch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And
Okay.
again, I'm trying to demonstrate to them the way in which I communicate, right? There you go,
Okay.
James.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I want them to see that, right? So definitely, I want to invite them to something fun. I want to collect their information. Obviously, I want to save them in my contacts. I want to do all those kinds of things. And so that I can do campaigns with them. And especially when they show up, the admission when you showed up was your business card. I made that mandatory. If you're going to come to my happy hour, you got to bring a business card. Otherwise, I'm going to kick your butt and send you back home, and that was kind of the tongue-in-cheek way that I would get their cards. And I said, no, cards are trading cards. I've got one. You can't have one of mine unless you give me one of yours. And I would just tease them and do stuff like that so that we would have an exchange. And now I've got their most current information. I update my CRM, I add them to a campaign, and now we're in constant communication. And that campaign could be a reminder about happy hour that's happening next Thursday and blah, 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 blah. It could be any number of those types of things. And it's automated. And if I'm going to do a recorded video or something like that, I might do it, in different places. I might be on my way to tour. I might be on tour with a bunch of other real estate agents. I want to show them, and any one of my targets, I want to show them how I'm active in the community within our, real estate community. In other words, not necessarily on my way into church on Sunday, although that wouldn't be necessarily a terrible thing. I need to go to confession more often anyway. But if I'm doing this, I want them to see this is me in regular life, and this is what we do. Oh yeah, I go to tour every Wednesday, and I go to, whatever, I go to the crab feeds and etc. I want them to see that the regular stuff that we're doing that are events within the community. So let's do it like that. All right. Okay, James, my 15-minute is in there. You can book there. Let's see. I just want to go through the chat, and you all are free to go. That's right, Armando. Go Seahawks. Let's see. They assign a new A and then forget to tell you. Yeah, Luxana. UWM is unique about that. You'll see the AEs come and go. For all the positives that you can say about that company, and there are plenty, their frontline people are essentially customer service reps. I mean, they're brand spanking new. They're 22, 23 years old. You can't be upset at their depth of knowledge, but you sometimes will need to escalate to get things that you want. All right, let's see what's left. 6 degrees, a few more messages. Thanks, David. Appreciate you, my friend. Exactly. You're never more than the third level on LinkedIn. That's very, very true. That's very true. All right. And then the chats. Calendly is, I think it's an annual subscription. It's cheap. It's cheap. I don't even remember when I renewed it last.
I think it was $36 for the year or something. It was nothing.
Yeah. I mean, it is really, I mean, you don't have to get, well, you get whatever level that you want. I'm sure that there's a higher level. Sandy, what's up? But definitely use it.
When are these recordings available in the back office?
This one isn't available in the back office. It's available on my YouTube channel. I can make it available in the back office, and I could put it into PWM Pro. As a matter of fact, I think I've designed it to do so. It's going straight to Carrick with the recording, so you could definitely review it. And I think that they have a place for it. I haven't double checked. I'm more interested in having it just available under things that I can control. So,
okay, I'll
yeah.
look for it. I know how to search for your channel, so thank you.
Yep. All right, cool. All right, you guys, let's see. I'm glad that you guys enjoyed today. Wonderful. The syllabus or the class list is somehow not, it's not being posted where I want it to be. And I haven't seen the final copy of it yet. So John and Brian and I all have a number of different tasks of things that we're trying to do. This is not the highest of priorities. I'm just going to continue to recommend that you guys keep coming back every Friday at this time. The link will not change. Look at David, $8-12 a month, you know, depending upon what you do. Piece of cake for Calendly. Okay. And there are other apps, by the way. There's something called You Can Book Me, which is the same kind of concept. Use whichever one you want to use, but just get familiar with how they operate. Calendly has one little trick about it that I don't like, which means you have to have the application up 100% of the time, or if someone books an appointment with you and the application is not up and on your screen, it doesn't synchronize with your calendar. So sometimes I'll get people that'll double book me for the same exact period of time. Because I don't keep my computer on 24/7, 365. You know, I shut it down at night. Go for it, David.
I got around that real quick, and I got to run. I got around that by using Google Calendar. Unfortunately, there's no way to make it work with Outlook. I actually paid Upwork to try to figure it out. Can't be done. So
Yep.
Don't waste your time. If you're going to use Outlook, you have to have it up and running or check it frequently. I got around it by using Google, and
So
it syncs perfectly with Google.
If I sync it to Google and then have Google sync to Outlook, will it work like that, do you think? So I'm good at lip
No,
reading, but
you
not that
can't.
good.
Haven't been able to figure it out. I actually talked to the tech support. It can't be done. There used to be a plug-in for it, and they discontinued the plug-in for some ridiculous reason.
It keeps crashing. It crashes all the time with my Outlook. It just,
That would be why.
yeah.
That's why they took it down. So I'm pretty sure that's something, because so many people use Outlook. I'm pretty sure they're working on it and they're going to get back to it.
Eventually.
Yeah, but yeah, my workaround is to use Google. And I love Outlook, but I can't get the calendar to work right with it. So
Yeah. We'll have
Gotta run.
to, we'll check, and maybe by this time next week, I'll do a little research and see if there's a way to do it. If you're doing it with your Google Calendar, maybe your Google Calendar can synchronize with your Outlook calendar, and that way they're all communicating together, and you can use one as the base. I don't know. We'll figure that out. All right, y'all.
Ed, one more quick question. I didn't get the clarity between you and David were talking about something that Robert does, something lighting, or what is it that he does that was distracting? That Robert Doe?
Yeah, that he does that's distract. You mean when he's talking or whatever?
I don't know. I thought you and David were talking about that, about something in his house. You talked about maybe it needed to be rewired or
Oh,
something.
it's the smoke detector needs to be connected again. It continues to beep. You know, if you've ever
Oh.
been, yeah,
I've never heard it. So, okay.
you've never heard it. Oh my gosh.
No, no.
Come to a Tuesday night meeting and you'll hear it. It's
Okay.
guaranteed.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
All
My
right.
dog is
Thanks,
saying
Ed.
that he needs to go potty. So I'm gonna end the broadcast, and we'll see you guys in a week's time. Okay. And enjoy yourselves. Have a great weekend.